Fox 19 now presents Tri-State Travel Treasures with Ken Baker.
Guys, on this episode of Tri-State Travel Treasures, we are going inside the most iconic building in Cincinnati. We're going to hear the stories, see the sights. We're going to even take you into some spaces that you've never been. I know a lot of you guys come here for shows, for weddings, for musicals, but this is going to be like you've never seen before. Let's go check it out. Mike, you're my tour guide here, right?
Mike, nice to meet you.
Friends of Music Hall, we're at Music Hall. How long has this icon been here?
The icon itself was built in really two phases, 1878, 1879. 1878, the main building was built. Within 17 months, they built South Hall and North Hall as an addition. Keep in mind, back then we didn't have a convention center.
Wow.
So it was multi-purpose. Main building we're in here, Music Hall was for concerts and so forth.
Sure.
South Hall was called Horticultural Hall for art shows and flower and garden type shows.
For this episode of Tri-State Travel Treasures, there's no way. Mike, you said we could spend like 3 days in here, right?
That's when you tell me.
Yeah. So we're going to hit some of the highlights in this episode. What, you got 3 or 4 different stops for us?
Basically 3, maybe 4.
Maybe 4, if you're good. All right, the first one we're going to do is Springer Auditorium, right?
Yes, Springer Auditorium, named after the gentleman that is considered the father of music hall.
Which is who?
Reuben Springer.
Reuben Springer, let's go.
Come on in.
Mike, I love the auditorium. When I come here and see shows, ballet, that I always try to remind myself to look up, right?
You have to look up and around. This is an amazing room.
Amazing. Okay, Springer Auditorium. You said it was named after the founder,
Reuben
right?
Springer, the gentleman that originally back in 1875 decided we needed this building. He donated money to build it. So
how much money?
Originally $125,000 of his own money.
He knows his stuff. Yes.
And over time, in the next 2 years, he donated an additional $60,000. But it was all said and done, he donated over $300,000 of his own money. In today's terms, $9 million of his own money.
How many people can sit in here?
Well, there's 2 different numbers. If we have a Pops concert, it holds 2,439.
Okay.
For a symphony or an opera or so forth, when we have an orchestra pit, it's a little less. It's about 2,289, 150
You want me
less.
to tell you something that you don't know?
Go for it.
Once a year, they drop this thing. It comes down, the chandelier, and they clean it. Hold on.
Actually,
it's not once a year?
It's every other year.
Oh, I was close. I think that's remarkable. How? I guess obviously you can't show us the system, but how long does it take to crank down?
It takes several minutes to do it. They used to do that when they first installed it to let people know, okay, 10-minute warning before the concert starts. It was lowered and they start raising it.
Why don't they do that anymore?
I believe insurance says we don't want raising that thing where you got people walking around in here. But you know who donated that? Back in 1969, Ralph and Patricia Corbett.
Oh,
out of their own
pocket. Yes.
Went to then Czechoslovakia, bought that, had it shipped here. You know how many crystals are in that beautiful thing?
I would say 5,793,000.
Well, you're off by a little bit, a little over 7,000 crystals.
Oh, just 7,000.
And it has 96 lights.
Yeah.
The thing was taken apart in our big renovation of 2016 and 17.
Yeah.
Shipped to St. Louis, where a company took it apart.
And it's great. This stage, this is like wild. Like I don't feel like I'm big enough to fill the space.
You're lucky. When I give a tour, we typically don't go on the stage.
Yeah.
And now you get a chance to be on stage. You can tell folks you've been on stage at Music Hall.
Before we jump out of this, like how the acoustics, they're so great. Like you don't really have to
Quick story about the acoustics. In the renovation of 2016 and 17, we call it the big renovation, about $143 million. Right after that, apparently a couple folks from the Lincoln Center in New York City came to visit us. To see what we did to improve our acoustics. To me, that's high praise for the work that was done in 2016 and 17.
No, I really feel like I could just whisper and the person all the way in the back could hear.
So let me tell you 2 quick facts about this room.
Sure.
In 1880, they threw a party, and it was in this room to celebrate the opening of a railroad line between Cincinnati and Chattanooga.
Wow.
A few months later, in July of 1880, the Democratic National Convention was held in this room.
Wow.
So who was a candidate?
What year?
1880.
1880.
I had a history teacher on tour a few weeks ago, knew the answer.
1880.
Colonel Winfred Scott Hancock.
Oh, yes.
He didn't win, obviously.
Yeah.
But you know who was in that room right here on this stage?
Who?
a lady by the name of Susan B. Anthony.
I know her. Women's suffrage.
She wanted to give a speech on women's suffrage right here on this stage. The guys that ran the convention said, we can't let this lady give a speech.
Yeah.
But they did read her speech, and they put it in the record, which was a big deal.
That's amazing. Can we go behind the curtain?
Let's go this way, behind the curtain.
We're going behind the curtain. Backstage at Music Hall. Mike, give me some history, some fun facts.
Real quick, first of all, the ropes behind you.
Yes.
Those have a nickname. They're called riggings because sailors back in the 1700s worked on ships. When they weren't on the ships, they worked in theaters and they used these ropes.
And they would just...
These are all automated, but that's where the name comes from. We're headed towards North Hall, which was added to this complex of buildings and completed in 1879.
Wow.
Initially, it was called Mechanical or Power Hall because it was used for these industry shows that came through Cincinnati.
What's an industry show?
Companies would come in to show their various wares, equipment or things in business that they were selling around the country. We hosted shows here. Cincinnati in 1846 was the 6th largest city in the United States.
That's wild.
Part of it because of all this industry that came through town.
Oh, so like this is a...
Well, here's an example of a machinery power hall with this equipment, and these people milling around was in this space behind us here.
Wow.
Now the space today is not quite as open as it used to be. When they first built it in 1879, it was cavernous. You didn't have all these cinder block walls. You didn't have the area back there. Those were added later. But in the history of this space, real quick, a couple interesting things that happened in this space.
Sure.
Indoor homeorama. For 12 years, they would build an entire house in the middle of this room.
Yeah.
The perimeter of the room had all these vendors selling modern day appliances.
Yeah.
On stage, they had a cooking demonstration. A very famous boxer boxed in this space.
Who?
Local Cincinnatian, Ezra Charles.
Oh, yeah.
They named the street behind us in his honor. He didn't win his titles when he was here, but he learned to box.
Oh, for sure.
Right here in Music Hall.
Wow.
We also had swimming, boxing, basketball. For 2 years, the University of Cincinnati called this their home court.
This is fascinating.
So this area was multi-purpose. Again, these 3 buildings together were more than just concerts and music. They were our then athletic venues and convention center.
They were everything.
They were pretty much everything.
We have been with you for so long, but there's so much. People can do tours and that kind of stuff, which we'll tell you about at the end. What's the last stop that we're going to make with you?
Okay, we're headed across the way to a place called the Taft Suite.
The Taft Suites.
Yes.
Most people don't know what that. I don't even know what that. What
Taft Suite. Well, first of all, a lot of things in Cincinnati are named Taft because of William Howard Taft.
Right.
William Howard Taft was also kind of in the history of this building.
Yeah.
But that suite in particular is the home to some wood-carved panels that were used to cover up the organ on stage back in the late 1800s.
Let's go check it out. I didn't even know the Taft Suite was a thing.
The Taft Suite is a thing because when we did our renovation in 2016, they repurposed over 33,000 square feet of this building. This was some of the space. This is the original carriageway that was built between the 2 buildings, South Hall and Music Hall, in 1879. Carriages would come in here, guests would disembark, go into the main auditorium. There's a carriageway on the other side.
Why wouldn't they just go through the front that we use?
Well, it was easy for the patrons, and then the ladies in their long flowing gowns, they would go right through here, and there's the auditorium.
Why? Oh, so this probably would have been real
This is the outside wall, the original outside wall of Music Hall. That's the original outside wall of South Hall. So after it was repurposed, beautiful acoustic ceiling tiles.
Yes.
We use it for meetings. It can be rented out if you'd like. But it's also the home of these beautiful dark cherry wood panels that were carved in 1878 by a group of women, about 150 women. There are 121 or so panels. The purpose of the panels was to go around this organ that was built and put on the stage.
It looks like it's a Hook and Hastings, is that right?
It's a Hook and Hastings organ.
Hastings. Oh, I just read that. Hastings.
Very good.
Yes.
But the organ was paid for by Mr. Reuben Springer.
Oh, the same guy that built the whole thing
that paid
for $9
a chunk
million.
of money to build the place. So they built these panels. There are about 30 or so remaining in existence today, but they were carved by mostly women, upper crust society ladies. They weren't paid. They went to a school of design in Cincinnati to do this, and these have been restored, and we are still looking for more of these. If anybody that watches your program knows of a panel that looks like this, please contact Friends of
Why
Music
didn't they
Hall.
get paid?
The great question. I don't know. They were upper crust. Maybe they didn't want to get paid.
Yeah, they just liked it.
They did it for the love of the art.
Before we get out of here, what is the most, and you're the expert, impressive thing about Music Hall? You know all the stuff.
The most impressive thing about Music Hall is the rich history.
Yes.
No question about it. It parallels the history of Cincinnati. If you know anything or want to know anything about Cincinnati and its history, you can follow the history of Music Hall. The city grew in the early mid-1800s.
Yeah.
We built this building. This building's been up and down through its own history. They almost tore it down in 1970.
Wow.
Because it needed repair. The Nippards, I have to mention Louise and Louis Nippard, helped pay for renovations of this building. The building is still here today. The Corbetts, Ralph and Patricia Corbett, were big donors, saved this building, and it is what it is today. I would say the history is the #1 thing that I love about this building.
And that's what makes it a Tri-State Travel Treasure. If you guys want to do a tour, you can go to friendsofmusichall.org, and
Correct.
you can even ask for Mike. There's so many things. It's great.
We have one tour guide named Mike.
Mike, and he's the best, as you can see. Mike.
Or you can call 513-667
Don't look at me.
ARTS.
Arts, 667 Arts. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.
Pleasure,
on
Ken.
Tri-State Travel Treasures.